You don't mean that that's the reason they wouldn't even interview me, surely?
Can you blame them?
Well, it's hardly very fair to hold this against me, you know. I have been to prison after all.
Well, that's what I mean.
If that didn't teach me to mend my ways, then why was I sent there? What's a prison for heaven's sake?
Well, the point is, Mr. Budge...
To punish and deter the evildoer. Well, I have been punished and deterred. I shan't steal again. To suggest that I might is a reflection against the prison service.
Aye?
All those good people who work so hard to make my life in prison as unpleasant as possible. I'm not likely to risk being sent back there again. Well, I mean to say, is it likely?
Well, you only got your word for that, Mr. Budge.
Only my word? Well, didn't I give the name of 2 referees who'd vouch for me? Yes, there you are, Colonel Robbins, MC, and the Reverend Field. You won't find 2 more worthy gentlemen than that.
But surely they can't know about your bit of trouble.
Can't know? Why, the Reverend Field was my prison visitor, and Colonel Robbins is the governor.
The governor of the prison? You put down the governor of the prison for a testimonial?
He knows me very well. Now, you get on to him, Mrs. Thursday. Oh, good heavens. I commit a crime and I pay for it in prison. Well, that wipes the slate clean, surely.
Well, it's not really up to me, Mr. Budge. I don't like interfering with the workings of the office. Still, if you come round to Dunwich House tomorrow morning, we'll try and find something for you. 10:30 sharp.
I have my faults, Mrs. Thursday. Who hasn't? But I assure you unpunctuality is not one of them.
Oh, well, that's something to be grateful for, at least. I'm not making any promises, mind, but we'll see.
Perhaps, when I've settled into the job, you'd do me the honor of dining with me one evening. Nothing very grand, of course.
Were you really born in Kennington?
Mrs. Thursday, you're doubting me again.
Right out with it. Didn't try to hide anything. Fancy applying for a job as cashier and admitting he'd just left the nick. You've got to admire him.
Naming the prison governor as a referee, that's the bit I like.
You been onto the phone to him?
No, I haven't, as a matter of fact. I'll do it now.
I wouldn't trouble. That parson said we'd be doing right to trust him.
He doesn't have to do the trusting, does he?
No.
Mr. Budge is here.
Oh, ask him to come in, Jean.
A very good morning to you, Mrs. Thursday. What a miserable-looking day, is it not? Nevertheless, summer is on the way. As I strolled through the market on my way here, I couldn't resist these tulips. Blown in from Holland, you know.
Oh, fancy. Oh, this is Mr. Hunter, Mr. Budge.
Delighted, I'm sure.
Didn't know they sold tulips in 3s, Mr. Budge.
The good lady did me a favor. Unfortunately, Mr. Hunter, I couldn't afford more than 3. However, the widow's mite, you know.
Oh, they're ever so nice, Mr. Budge. I don't get flowers every day.
Well, perhaps Miss Mackenzie could find a more elegant vase for you later and see if she changes the water. I doubt if that's altogether fresh even now. Do sit down, Mr. Hunter. As Mrs. Thursday's business advisor, you've every right to be here, you know.
Thank you, Mr. Budge. Now, Mrs. Thursday's decided, very generously, I feel, to find some position for you in the firm.
I am immensely obliged.
The hours are from 9 to 6, and you'll start on Monday week.
Monday week?
Is that not convenient, Mr. Budge?
Well, let me see. I have to go to Worcestershire the day before to attend to my mother's grave. I've heard from the local rector there that it's in a sad state of neglect, owing, of course, to my enforced absence of the past 6 months. However, there's no need for me to stay overnight at the rectory as I planned. Bound to be at least one train back that I can catch. Yes, 9 o'clock on the 16th will suit me very well.
You see, the lips are out of order, Mr. Budge.
Oh, dear.
At least they need overhauling. And on the 16th, they're going to be taken out of service for 3 weeks.
Oh, well, if everyone else has to walk to their office, Mrs. Thursday...
We're offering you a job as lift attendant, Mr. Budge.
Forgive me, I don't quite...
A temporary post.
For 3 weeks?
In charge of the big manually operated lift that all of us will have to use till the others are in action again.
Lift attendant?
Yes, well, you see, If you give satisfaction, I'm sure we'll be able to find you something, a bit more permanent, perhaps afterwards.
Well, I must warn you, Mrs. Thursday, that as a lift attendant, my experience is limited, not to say non-existent.
It doesn't call for much experience, Mr. Budge. However, if the offer's of no interest to you...
No, I'm sure I'll pick it up soon enough. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Question of button pushing, isn't it?
A little more than that in that lift.
Well, the dignity of honest labour is not to be belittled. Still...
You can't expect to walk into a big job, you know. I mean, you've got to prove to people, start at the bottom again.
Oh, certainly. Come in on the ground floor and work my way up. I just hadn't imagined doing it quite so literally.
You're damn lucky to be offered anything.
Oh, now, Mr. Hunter, there's no need to say that. I'm sure Mr. Budge understands.
Oh, indeed, I'm not ungrateful. The trouble is, I won't be able to steal anything in a lift.
I should hope not.
I suppose I could pick the odd pocket, but I'd be too clumsy. I'll just have to be honest. And that won't prove anything to you or me.
Well, I don't think I should joke about it, Mr. Budge.
No, I'm perfectly serious. If I'm not given the opportunity to steal, how will you know if you can trust me?
You actually expect us to put temptation in your way?
How else will you know that I can resist it? But let's not quibble, for heaven's sake. I am deeply grateful for the chance of any advancement. I take it there'll be some kind of uniform?
Yes, Mr. Mills will fit you out at the staff entrance.
Well, I better let him have a note of my measurements, then. Tailors usually get a little wrong with my measurements around the waist. Until the 16th, then. And rest assured, Mrs. Thursday, that I won't let you down. And when you're running a lift, that is quite important, isn't it? Good day.
Well, I've seen some liberty takers in my time, but he tops the lot.
Oh, I like him, and I think he's honest. Of course, he might have played me up a bit about, Kennington and
Oh,
all
no,
that, but...
he didn't tell you a lie about that, as a matter of fact.
You mean he was born in Archer Street?
Yes, number 62. I took the precaution of dropping into Somerset House this morning to check.
Well, right next to Mrs. Parker's sweet shop. Well, he is all right, then.
I wish I had your faith, Mrs. T.
Oh, well, you never get anywhere in this world if you don't trust people.
Very good morning to you all, ladies, gentlemen, pray step aboard. Morning, Mr. Jenkins. Any more passengers?
We are, I think, ready to depart, Budge.
One moment, sir.
Oh, really?
One of the managing directors is approaching. It would hardly do to leave without him, sir. Very good morning to you, Sir Charles.
Morning. Morning, Sir Charles. Good morning.
Enjoy the play last night, sir?
Play?
I think I caught sight of you in the stalls with your good lady. Tolerably well done, I thought. None of this appalling kitchen sink stuff, anyway.
You've passed my floor, Budge.
We'll get there in time, sir, never fear. Ah, we've arrived. There you are, sir, all safe and sound.
You know, this is only a lift. Sometimes you make it sound like a journey to the moon.
Excuse me, sir. My paper, I believe.
Oh.
Well, keep it if you wish, sir. Borrow it till lunchtime.
Oh, please, thank you. There'll be one in my office.
I'm so sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. Jenkins. Now then, number 2.
You know it is.
I understand that Mr. Williamson, the assistant cashier, has agreed to stay on for a bit.
That's correct.
Having difficulty finding a replacement.
We'll find the right man in the end.
Oh, of course you will, sir. I'm sure the right man isn't very far away at all.
Ah, morning.
Oh, Mrs. Thursday, you're not walking up, surely?
Oh, it's only a few floors.
No, come in, come in. How can I prove my worth if I don't have passengers? Now then, number 5.
Yeah, your last day, isn't it, Mr. Budge?
Oh, sadly, sadly.
Well, I spoke to Mr. Mills to see if there was a vacancy among the cleaners, but of course, being all women and that.
Oh, you've been more than kind. Pray don't concern yourself any more.
Of course, Mr. Hunter's keeping a lookout for you, you know, somewhere in the building. So,
Well, I've already put in an application for a post in Harblows, and if I could give your name as a reference...
Oh, what post?
Assistant cashier.
Did you tell them about, you know?
Naturally.
Well, what hope do you think you've got to get it, Mr. Badge?
When the magistrate sentenced me, Mrs. Thursday, he never said that as part of my punishment I must never hold a decent job again. Tell me, Mrs. Thursday, do you think I'd rob another safe? Do you, honestly?
Good morning, Mrs. Thursday.
Morning.
You forgot to sign this memo last night. I wonder if you'd like to do it now.
I couldn't make head or tail of it.
Oh, it's quite an order.
Well, I don't like signing things I don't understand.
There's nothing wrong, is there, Mrs. Thursday?
Tell me, do you think he'd rob another safe? Mr. Budge?
Oh, no, not really.
I think I'll have a word with Mr. Jenkins, the cashier.
Oh, I wouldn't rush into anything, Mrs. Thursday.
Well, either we trust him or we don't, it seems to me. I shan't be long.
But Mrs. Thursday, he can come to you.
Oh, no, I don't like taking him away from his work.
Oh, I think he'd rather come to you.
Oh, all right, then.
Mr. Jenkins, it's Miss Mackenzie here. Could you come and see the chairman?
Look, if he's busy...
Right away. Yes, that'll be fine. Bye.
Well, I think Mr. Budge is absolutely right. We've got to give him the chance to prove that he's straight. And I'll lay a pound to a pinch of salt that man is honest.
Trouble.
Now what?
It's serious. Someone's stolen a necklace from Joe Lever's office.
Necklace?
His wife's.
Well, I didn't think it was his.
It was worth £500.
500? Well, he'd no business to leave it lying about. I've no
He
patience.
just had it repaired. He collected it from the jeweller's yesterday.
How do you know that?
He showed it to me in the lift coming back from lunch.
The lift.
Now, don't jump to conclusions.
Did Budge see it?
Oh, stop it. We don't know. Nothing's proved yet.
You wish to see me, Mrs. Thursday?
Oh, yes, come in, Mr. Jenkins. When did he know it was gone?
Last night he'd been out to dinner in the city, and when he got home about 1 o'clock in the morning, he couldn't find the necklace in the briefcase where he thought he'd put it, so he assumed he left it in the office.
Well, I bet it's still there. I don't suppose he's had a proper look. I never knew a man yet could find anything he was looking for.
They've searched the whole place 3 times.
Well, it's probably lying under his nose all the time.
Might I be permitted to ask, is something lost?
Yes, a necklace. Stolen, more likely.
Now, we don't know that.
We'll soon find out. The police are on their way.
Police?
When did this occur?
Last night, in Mr. Lever's office.
Last night?
Yes? Why?
Oh, nothing.
You didn't see anyone, did you?
Now, look here, don't start playing Sherlock Holmes, Mr. Hunter. Leave it to the police. They'll get to the bottom of it. Oh, come along in, Mr. Jenkins. Well, the fact is, I've been thinking about Mr. Williamson's successor. And I think we ought to consider Mr. Budge.
Oh.
Well, what's the matter with you, then?
Well, it's... this business of the necklace. You see, I saw Budge last night coming out of Mr. Lever's office at about 6:10.